You just landed in Canada. You've got your bags, your excitement, and a whole new life ahead of you. But here's something nobody warned you about. One wrong move with your driver's license, and you could face delays, fines, or even a flat-out rejection that sets you back months. In 2026, Canada has updated its rules for immigrants when it comes to getting a driver's license, and if you don't know what's changed, you're going to run into serious problems. So stay right here, because what I'm about to share could save you from making a very expensive and frustrating mistake. Welcome. And if you're new here, this channel is your go-to place for everything immigrants need to know about life in Canada. The real stuff, not the sugar-coated version. Today, we are diving deep into Canada's driver's license rules for immigrants in 2026, what's new, what's changed, and exactly what you need to do to avoid getting rejected. Whether you just arrived or you've been here for a year, this video is for you. Let's start with the big picture. Canada does not have a single national driver's license. Each province and territory runs its own licensing system, which means the rules in Ontario are different from British Columbia, which are different from Alberta, and so on. This is the first thing that trips up so many newcomers. They think Canada is one system, but it's actually 13 different systems. And in 2026, several provinces have tightened their requirements specifically because of the volume of newcomers arriving in the country. Canada welcomed record numbers of immigrants in recent years, and the licensing authorities have responded by updating their verification processes, documentation requirements, and conversion rules. Now let's talk about the most important question you probably have. Can you use your foreign driver's license in Canada? The short answer is yes, but only temporarily. Most provinces allow newcomers to drive using their valid foreign license for a period of 60 to 90 days after arriving, though this varies by province. In Ontario, for example, you can drive on your foreign license for 60 days. In British Columbia, it's 90 days. But here's the catch. In 2026, authorities are paying much closer attention to this window. If you get pulled over after your allowed period has expired and you haven't started the process of converting your license, you can be fined, and in some cases, your driving privileges can be suspended entirely. So the moment you land, start your clock and start your paperwork. Let's talk about license exchange agreements, because this is where a lot of people either win big or get stuck. Canada has reciprocal license exchange agreements with certain countries. What this means is that if your home country is on the approved list, you can swap your foreign license for a Canadian one without having to take the full road test. This is a massive advantage. Countries like the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, France, South Korea, Japan, and Australia, among others, are on these exchange lists in most provinces. If you're from one of these countries, you walk into a Service Ontario office or an ICBC location in BC or an Alberta registry, hand over your documents, and you walk out with a full Canadian license, or at least a license that puts you at a more advanced stage. But here is what changed in 2026. The documentation requirements for these exchanges have become stricter. Before, many provinces accepted a simple translation of your foreign license along with your original. Now, provinces are requiring certified translations from approved translation services, and in some cases, they are cross-referencing with international databases to verify the authenticity of your foreign license. This is because there was a growing problem of fraudulent foreign licenses being submitted. So if you go in with a sketchy translation or a license that doesn't pass the verification check, you will be rejected, and you could even face legal consequences. Get your documents properly certified before you walk in. Now, what if your country is not on the exchange list? This is where things get a bit harder, but it is absolutely not the end of the road. If you are from a country without a reciprocal agreement, many South Asian, African, Middle Eastern, and Latin American countries fall into this category. You will generally need to go through the graduated licensing program. This is the same program that 16-year-olds in Canada go through, but for adults, it is usually condensed. You start at the learner stage, you hold that for a set period, and then you take your road test to get your full license. However, there is a very important nuance here in 2026 that many immigrants are not aware of. Several provinces now have a foreign license credit system. Even if your country doesn't have a full exchange agreement, if you can prove that you have had a valid driver's license for a certain number of years, usually 2 years or more, you can skip certain stages of the graduated program or reduce your waiting time. In Alberta, for instance, you may be able to go directly to the Class 5 GDL stage if you have 2 or more years of driving experience abroad. In Ontario, experienced foreign drivers can sometimes bypass the G1 written test stage entirely under specific conditions. You need to ask about this when you walk into your licensing office, because they don't always volunteer this information. Let's talk about the documents you need to bring, because showing up without the right papers is one of the most common reasons immigrants get rejected at the counter. Here is what you generally need. You need your valid foreign driver's license, the original, not a photocopy. You need a certified English or French translation of your license if it is not already in one of Canada's official languages. You need proof of identity, which is typically your passport. You need proof of your immigration status, which could be your permanent resident card, your work permit, your study permit, or your confirmation of permanent residence document. You need proof of your address in Canada, such as a utility bill, a bank statement, or a lease agreement. And in 2026, some provinces are also asking for a driving abstract from your home country. This is basically a record of your driving history showing any accidents, violations, or suspensions. That last point is critical. If your home country's driving authority can provide a driving abstract, get it before you leave or request it as soon as possible. Some countries make this easy. India's RTO offices can provide this, Pakistan's NTRC, the Philippines' LTO. But for some countries it takes weeks or even months, so plan ahead. If you show up without it and the province requires it, your application will be delayed or rejected. Now, let's talk specifically about the provinces where most immigrants settle, Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta, and Quebec, because each of these has its own specific updates for 2026. In Ontario, which receives the largest share of immigrants in Canada, Service Ontario has updated its verification process and is now using a digital authentication system for foreign licenses from select countries. The written knowledge test is available in multiple languages, which is a positive change, but the road test waiting times have increased significantly. In some parts of the Greater Toronto Area, you could be waiting 3 to 6 months for a road test slot. Book your test as early as possible. Don't wait until you feel ready. Book first, then prepare. In British Columbia, ICBC has made changes to how it handles license conversions from South Asian countries specifically, given the large Punjabi and South Asian immigrant community in the Lower Mainland. They now require additional identity verification steps, and they have cracked down on applications where the foreign license appears to have been obtained recently, just before immigration, a pattern they flagged as suspicious. If your license is less than 1 year old and you are applying for an exchange, expect extra scrutiny. In Alberta, the province has streamlined its process slightly for economic immigrants and workers in certain industries, recognizing that new workers need to drive quickly to get to job sites. However, they too have tightened their document verification, and translation requirements are strictly enforced. Alberta also changed its rules around Class 5 GDL waiting periods. If you have a foreign license from a non-agreement country, you now need to hold the GDL for 24 months before upgrading, compared to the previous standard. In Quebec, the situation is unique because you also need to deal with the language requirement. All written tests must be taken in French, though English is available in certain circumstances. The SAQ, which is Quebec's licensing authority, has a specific intake process for newcomers and has added orientation sessions in 2026 to help immigrants understand the Quebec driving rules, which differ from the rest of Canada in some ways. Here are the top mistakes immigrants make that lead to rejection, so you can avoid every single one of them. The first mistake is waiting too long to start the process. People arrive, they get busy settling in, and suddenly 90 days have passed, and they are still driving on their foreign license. Start the process in your first week. The second mistake is not getting a certified translation. A translation done by a friend or family member is not accepted. It must come from a certified translator recognized by the province. The third mistake is not bringing complete documents. Missing a single document means they turn you away, and you have to book another appointment. Call the office or check the official website the day before and confirm your checklist. The fourth mistake is underestimating the knowledge test. Many people assume that because they have been driving for years, they know the rules. Canada's driving rules, road signs, and traffic laws are different from many other countries. Study the official driver's handbook for your province. It is free and available online. The fifth mistake is missing the road test appointment. Road test slots are precious, especially in major cities. If you miss your appointment without canceling in advance, you may lose your booking fee and wait months for the next slot. Let me also quickly mention driving without a valid license, because this is something you absolutely cannot afford to do. If you are caught driving with an expired foreign license, or without any license at all, you are looking at significant fines, possible vehicle impoundment, and it can affect your immigration record. For people on work permits or in the middle of PR applications, a driving-related offense can create complications you do not want. It is not worth the risk. Before I wrap up, here is one more thing that can genuinely make your life easier. Driving schools that specialize in immigrant learners. Many cities across Canada now have driving schools run by instructors who speak multiple languages and who understand the specific challenges that newcomers face. They know which habits from other countries need to be unlearned for Canadian driving. They help you prepare for the road test efficiently, and they can often give you advice on the documentation process. A few $100s spent on proper driving lessons can save you from failing the road test multiple times and waiting months in between attempts. All right, let's bring it all together. Canada's driver's license rules for immigrants in 2026 are stricter and more detailed than before, but they are absolutely manageable if you go in prepared. Know your province's specific rules. Understand whether your country has a license exchange agreement. Gather all your documents, get certified translations, request your driving abstract, and start the process the moment you arrive. Book your knowledge test and road test early. Study the handbook seriously. And if you are unsure about anything, go to the official provincial licensing website or call the office directly. Do not rely on advice from neighbors or Facebook groups alone, because rules change and misinformation spreads fast. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up because it genuinely helps this channel reach more immigrants who need this information. Share it with someone you know who just moved to Canada or is about to move. You might save them from a very frustrating experience. And subscribe if you haven't already, because every week we cover topics exactly like this one. Real, practical, detailed information to help you navigate life in Canada successfully. Drop your province in the comments below and let me know if you have any specific questions about the licensing process where you are. I read every comment and I'll do my best to help. See you in the next one.